We're live. How you doing? Good morning, Mad Hatter Nation. It is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. It, of course, is the Hat and Beard Show, which makes me, although I did shave yesterday and got a haircut, believe it or not, we are still Hat and Beard. You're hanging out here, and I'm hanging out with you, and we're glad everybody's locked and loaded. Not a lot of news going on today, guys. So, kind of settle in. Pour yourself a mighty fine beverage of your choice because, you're probably going to need it today. We're going to be talking a little bit of the business side of things. We have discussed and kept our finger, albeit at a distance. Maybe I've been using your finger to keep on the pulse of this. Broadcast industry CEOs says consolidation is essential compared for NFL soaring media right prices. That's right. How, what, and is there an example that we can look for as we consolidate? Kind of have to rein it in, right? Kind of got to go ahead and if you're one of those people that's into the tentacle thing, gonna have to get the tentacles rolled back up in here. Too many tentacles with too many barnacles leeching on the NFL teat, making it too expensive. I'm going to be honest. The rent is too damn high for the NFL. All right, you got to spend a lot of money. Yo, if you want to, I don't remember if it's this article or another article that I skimmed. If you wanted to watch every NFL game this year, this isn't to go to a game. This is to sit on your keister at your home, in which you lease from the bank that sits upon rented land from the king. You'd have to pay like almost $600 just to watch at your own home. That's not even eating food. That's just to have the right to watch the show. That's not energy. That's not internet. That's nothing. That's insane. Okay? You are pricing out the everyman. Now, NFL needs to get it together. But one of the broadcast CEOs is like, hey, guys, we got to roll it in. But it's not for reasons that you or I might think as a simple poor. No. It has to deal with them and how they can make more money. Of course it does. How can we... speaking of making more money, now, JSN was almost the thumbnail guy, but for reasons that you will see here shortly, you will understand why Jameson Williams made it. Jackson Smith and Jigba, jeez Louise, I need to get me some of them wireless headphone type deals. JSN and the Sea Chickens agree to a historic contract extension. According to reports, JSN helped the Sea Chickens to win a Super Bowl title. I'm going to be very, very honest with you guys. I don't very often pull my punches with y'all. I don't know if I am even qualified to read this article. Simply because I am so poor, and it is such an absolutely ridiculous amount of money that JSN is getting paid. Just a couple years ago, we were like, holy crappers, look at Amon-Ra go. And this is where I give Brad Holmes an awful lot of credit in striking both while the iron is hot on the player, but he's good at getting out ahead of the market. When you look at the value now that we have between Amon-Ra and JMO, based on what the Sea Chickens are dumping all in on JSN. That's why when we're like, hey, there's no money in the cap. I'm like, yes, there's no money in the cap to go after a Mad Max Crosby, to go after a Trey Hendrickson. But I'm like, yo, Brad Holmes knows what he's doing. Let the money people count their beans, you guys. So we will discuss JSN and his historic, and I mean redonkulous contract that he got from the Sea Chickens. We will then compare that to the Detroit Lions wideout contracts. Are steals. Yes. Yes, they are complete steals. We are stealing money from two of the best in the game after you compare it to what JSN inked for us. This is coming to us from SI.com, but not the bad writers, right? This is, of course, our guy John Macaron. Let's go. And then we will finish off with a little bookend conversation on what we were talking about yesterday. We went way long yesterday. Shout out to each and every one of you who stuck around for the marathon 2-hour-long show yesterday. We really got after it. But why the Lions passed on top free agent edges and why money had nothing to do with it. Again, the slipper, Mike Payton over at A to Z Sports, goes into a little bit more detail and shows you why the money doesn't make sense versus the production of what the Detroit Lions identity is, both foundationary and what we want to, quote, get back to what we did when we made NFC Championship appearances, guys. So there is a method behind all of the madness. Before we get into the show, can you do me a favor? If you haven't already, can you subscribe to this channel? We are live across 3 platforms. That's right. We are live on, of course, Rumble. Of course, we're live on Rumble. Shout out all you guys rumbling over there, Rumble. And, of course, YouTube is live. We are kicking it over there on YouTube, right? Kate Rock Solid with Mad Hatter Nation. Shout out all you guys over there in Mad Hatter Nation chat. And then, you know what? We actually got 2 new followers over on Kick yesterday. So shout out all of you guys. Make sure that you're subscribed. We'll turn on your notification bell. It's going to take the thinking out of it for you. It's going to send you a push notification directly to your mobile device whenever we go live, which is even easier for you to remember. Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here at Rumble, YouTube, and, of course, Kick.com. If you follow me on Twitter, well, I'll be dropping links all the time over there. Y'all, it's worth it, okay? I think it's worth it, especially those of you at YouTube. We are trying to get that number up to 900 subscribers by the time of the draft. Rumble's trying to get you up to the big 5-0. The only way to do that, guys, is to share this around. Of course, sharing is caring in Mad Hatter Nation. Mad Hatter Nation is a bastion of sanity in a sea of nonsense. Sharing is caring. We are growing. We're doing it. It's the off season. Smash the like button. Of course, those of you at YouTube, if you want to engage in the chat, you are going to have to put a little bit of foreskin in the game. You are, of course, going to have to subscribe to the channel if you want to engage with the rest of Mad Hatter Nation over in the YouTube chat. Of course, Rumble's over there kicking away, rumbling around. Let's go ahead and send it over to my guy Jocko and let's get into the show.
If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and have ourselves a nice adult conversation here, talking about adult things, business things. Broadcast industry CEO says consolidating is essential. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time pronouncing that word, probably because I'm a fucking idiot. To compete for NFL soaring media rights, right? They're going to have to go ahead and bring it around. Gather the wagons. The evolution of live sports programming has become a battleground between traditional broadcast companies and streaming platforms, vying for the right to air the best games possible year after year. Well, don't tell Netflix that's what the goal is. Don't tell Netflix that that's what they're trying to do, because whatever they package and ship out to us, despite of who's playing in the game, the presentation of it, dog ass is what it is. The NFL is the cream of the crop, generating roughly $10 billion with a B, and I am such a poor per year on its current media rights deal. And the league is likely to renegotiate that deal by the end of the year, with reports indicating that they want to be done before kickoff in week 1 of the 2026 season in September. With additional media partners potentially entering the fold, this new deal, where do the incumbents like Fox, CBS, and NBC lie in the pie chart in that NFL schedule? Well, honestly, hopefully, look, I wouldn't. Part of the thing that I have with Prime is that with Prime games being in prime time and having to pay a prime time price and a prime fee, you should get a prime product. The NFL needs to understand the shifting of the media landscape, at least now. Now, it could be we could sit here and Grandma Wagon have this Tim Pool conversation about what insiders are saying about the acquisition of podcasts. It is, well, if you want any more evidence of it, look at what CNN just rolled out with Jake Tapeworm and Rachel Maddow with gray hair there. What's his name? Anderson Butt Cooper, right? They now shifted their studios to be very podcast-centric. So unless these big swinging heavy hitters, Fox, CBS, and NBC, are willing to understand, ESPN kind of does their own thing. ESPN needs to get back to the old school presentation model, really lean into their fan base, stop with the woke shit. But NBC, CBS, Fox, probably going to end up seeing a shifting. Don't be surprised if over the next year or two, especially once this deal gets done and there's more money sloshing about, you already seen NBC firing Tony Dungy, right? Expect to see some of these bigger names end up being let go to free up some capital, as you'll probably see more additions of sports media broadcasting being done, or more additions to sports media broadcasting in the larger lengths of the three-letter networks being done by acquisitions of online voices, right? Obviously, ESPN knocked it out of the park with a Pat McAfee. And now it's a bit of a learning curve, because when you do bring in an independent voice like a Pat McAfee, someone who built their own brand outside of your network, they end up having more leverage over you than these networks are used to dealing with. How they're going to play ball and how they're going to move and evolve moving forward will be interesting to see, but I think that is the direction that we will end up seeing. So what if Netflix and Prime want to get better games given to them by the NFL, get out ahead of the three-letter networks, right? Completely revolutionize, reinvent, and give us a totally new and more modernized format, right? Go ahead, shake it up. You have nothing to lose at this point, right? Everybody knows the product that you're getting on Prime is not going to be a prime time product. That you're going to pay a Prime fee but not get a Prime product, right? So why not take a big swing? Go after guys. Now, if NBC wanted to have good graces with fans, well, they wanted to maintain their seat upon the Iron Throne, if it were, of the NFL broadcast rights. Somehow, Sunday Night Football Night in America, became the flagship over Monday night, has overtaken it. NBC should have definitely not fired Tony Dungy. I think if they wanted to continue to advance forward, and I will continue to say this until I'm blue in the face, NBC needed to fire Patrick Mahomes, Chris Collinsworth, and you got to go after Greg Olsen. That's that. I will continuously beat that dead horse. But we will see what's going on. Curtis Leggett Lanius, the CEO of the National Association of Broadcasters, which lobbies federal agencies and lawmakers alike on behalf of the broadcast industry, spoke with John Ourand on the Variety podcast, where he suggests the broadcast industry must consolidate if it wants to continue competing with streaming platforms for live sports rights. Gross, you're a lobbyist. You are disgusting. Quote, I think for better or worse, why am I struggling with this word so fucking hard today, dude? It's like the harder I try and say consolidating is like it makes it infinitely harder, dude. Is a central thing right now, he explained, and I'm looking at this purely through the lens of a broadcast. If we're going to compete for those NFL sports rights, we're going to compete locally to ensure that teams feel like they have a local distribution option that is freely available through local broadcast as opposed to the cable, regional sports networks, or even streaming. Broadcasters need some scale in order to compete for that. The only way to gain the scale is through some level of consolidation. Why am I struggling with it so hard? Now, I do kind of like this idea, and maybe I'm reading this wrong. If we're going to compete locally, We need to ensure that teams feel like they have local distribution options. What I would like to see, and I don't know if this is a thing, give me the Lions broadcast of the Lions game on TV. I want the local show that is a Lions fandom giving me the Lions broadcast. Does that make sense? Even if they have to travel a little bit. I would prefer a more based take on my own team. That's just me. That's just me, especially when you get into certain narratives where it's just like, okay, I know Jonathan Vilma does not like the Detroit Lions. There is nothing. Jared Goff could shit a golden egg out on the 50-yard line, and Jonathan Vilma would be like, "Well, it's all covered in poop." And Kenny Albert would talk in that ridiculous Kenny Albert voice. You know what I'm saying? But Collinsworth is the word. I just looked it up. Cameras being goofy, or am I being? Hang on. My bad, y'all. Is that better? Zip, zip, zip. My bad. You know how this clanker camera is, dude. Them R2D2s in there, dude. Yeah, dude. I don't know how to read. I don't know how to read, y'all. I just don't know how to read, man. We're already seeing key mergers across broadcast television, including Paramount and Warner Brothers. Well, yes, I mean, when you're why fail separately when we can slowly fail together? Which is awaiting approval that will likely go through. The NFL and ESPN reached a landmark deal where the deal sports giant acquired NFL Network, NFL Red Zone, and NFL Fantasy. In exchange, the league received 10% equity stake in ESPN, which was valued at around $3 billion. Ooh, now I don't like that, but it is what it is. I think I do feel, especially I remember thinking when this deal went through, that as much as I'd like to see ESPN get back to their old way of doing stuff, when they signed this deal with the NFL, it basically just muted their independent voice. They're like, you're not going to push back against your boss. You know what I'm saying? They can't. He the boss. You know what I'm saying? The boss is going to, so now just kind of a talking puppet, which is why I think more and more viewership, especially those of you guys over on Rumble, have been looking for alternative independent voices, even if they can't read. Merging these broadcasters together can help compete with the likes of Amazon and Netflix and perhaps others that will join the fray when negotiations ensue for a new media rights deal. I think that, look, man, maybe, I don't know, man. Are Netflix and Amazon really competing that much with the three-letter networks for viewership? I mean, personally, I hate having to pay for a Netflix subscription to watch one game, and I can't stand the presentation of it. It is like, I don't know, man. It's like watching it on fucking Nickelodeon. You know what I'm saying? It's cartoony. It's bright. Chocolate chip cookies. Who likes chocolate chip cookies? You know what I'm saying? I realize that I'm like an old curmudgeon over here, but I like my broadcasts done the way that I like my broadcasts. I like the aesthetic of the early aughts. Netflix is too bright. I don't like it. And then Prime, I do think that. Although I don't agree with having to pay a prime price for a subprime product, I do think Amazon could, have better games if the NFL gave them better teams. But they're doing, you can only put so much lipstick on a pig. You know what I'm saying? I think Prime is, although I don't agree with the paying for it. I have Prime. So what is it like? Really, I am just another bootlicker of capitalism at this point. Just another mindless drone consuming at the tit of all knowing economy. I do think that Prime could benefit from the script writers. So Brandy Coffee, shout out Brandy Coffee, confirmed script writer for the NFL, confirmed script writer Brandy Coffee. If you could convince your bosses to maybe get a better slate of games down to Prime, then Prime could maybe compete. But at this point, the NFL seems almost hell-bent on making the Prime games be sub-Prime. You're paying for Prime rib and you're getting the farmer's dog. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't the ROI ain't there, man. You know, so that's why I kind of advocate you know what, man, Amazon, quit. Look, if they're gonna just stick it in your eye with bad product to try, like you are kneecapped with the product that they are giving you to try and sell. You can punch it up all you want. Reinvent the distribution of it. Just repackage the whole damn thing. Instead of calling it a toothfish, call it a North Atlantic cod or whatever the hell they renamed toothfish to. You know what I'm saying? Give us the internet. Amazon. You are the internet. Okay, you are the digital distribution, more or less, of the archaic media of the NFL, right? Versus the three-letter networks. Go ahead. Reinvent it. Sell us on a podcast. Give us the whole show. Give us the whole distribution as podcast. I almost guarantee you that at least the first 3 weeks, you will see an increase in traffic alone just from people trying to experiment with the product you're putting out there, regardless of the product on the field. Think of the Manning cast, okay? I'm telling you, dude, this is the route that they need to go, and it's the route that everyone's probably going to end up going. How do we feel about that, Matt Hatter Nation? Sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you guys over there. You know what I'm saying? Collinsworth is the worst. Thank you, Jody. I appreciate it. We are doing as best we can. Today is, of course, my Monday. Give me Dan Miller radio. I love listening to Dan Miller, dude. 100% Snake. 100%, dude. Dan's the man, dude. Much rather listen to Dan Miller. Hell yeah. Good morning, Brandy. Good to see you. I just used my brother-in-law's subscription for Amazon and Netflix. Hell yeah, Rick. Right on, dude. And more power to you, dude. More power to you, bro. I do like the Prime gives me the option to watch the Sky Cam if I want, and I'm already a Prime subscriber, so it's no extra cost. You know, that's kind of the thing, dude. It's like I'm already kind of paying for it. What's up, Marcus? How you doing, man? Good to see you, bro. I'll mention it at the next meeting. Thank you, Brandy. Appreciate it, dude. I used to have Yuzu for games last year to get all the games, basketball, hockey, all football games. I hardly ever watch something on network anymore. You know what, dude? I don't blame you, dude. I really don't blame you. Like, I'm not going to sit here and advocate for people to commit crime because pirating or whatever that is still a form of a crime. But, you know, dude, here's the thing, bro. And I'm not trying to sound like a fucking douche or whatever, but the big networks need to learn their lesson, dude. They need to start. At this point, I feel like I am almost preaching to the choir and beating a dead horse, but we have evidence of the power of the free market, right? In that Bud Light, we can, when pushed. That is the beauty of the free market. It gives you that last ultimate voting with your dollar, right? Now, do I think this is going to happen this year? Probably not. But come 2028, 2030, if you can see and prove increased traffic to, I mean, shit, dude. If I really, really wanted to grow this channel, all I would do is watch the game and live stream it to you guys. Like I would, you know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not taking away from guys that do that, but there's clearly a market for it. Right? The numbers are there across 1,000 YouTube channels for every team, right? Now imagine if Prime was to say, okay, they're going to look at the numbers and say X, Y, and Z for Team A will be on this choice of the broadcast. You can select this broadcast selection for that team. Or X, Y, and Z for the other team, they look at it by the numbers and they say, okay, you guys will do this broadcast for your team. And then they will just have them broadcast their own teams as they were doing it individually as a team under the umbrella of the major network. Does that make sense? It's 7,000 times cheaper for the network, as well as the internet guys are then making an obnoxious amount of money in comparison to where they are now. You then start to price out, utilizing the strength of the free market while evolutionizing, evolving. Moving forward, the market and the product, you can then force out the old heads with not just, hey, Chris Collinsworth, you suck at your job. You can say, hey, this is the new direction. This is how the market is responding, and you have even more leverage. Does that make sense? I don't know, man. I'm trying to get out from the old ways. Crime doesn't pay. You're already rich when you do it. 100%. Put ESPN on mute and make your own points. Dude, and that's actually, if I'm being very honest, there are very few broadcasters that I genuinely like the way that they talk on camera anymore. I love Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. For whatever reason, it is so just classic sounding to me that I like the way Joe Buck and Troy Aikman broadcast. I like the way Tom Brady gets so excited when broadcasting games. I like Greg Olson. I can't stand Jonathan Vilma. Can't stand Chris Collinsworth. Don't like Mike Tirico. Really don't even like most of the Sunday Night Football games, if I'm being honest. And now with Tony Dungy off the program, it's even less reason. They're just going to toddle out some bimbo broad in a skirt and Chris Sims and Rodney Concussed Harrison to Babylon nonsensically about how good Giggle Williams is or how good Patrick Mahomes is. And I'm not really here for that. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even like the Chiefs are playing the Bears in that game. They're just talking about those two guys because they love them. They go to bed dreaming about them. They can't get enough of those two guys. Speaking about guys they should be talking about that get ignored, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I don't know if he's getting ignored, but I don't know if I would have paid him this kind of money. Well, he just broke the market, guys. He just set the wide receiver market in flames, okay? He played a pivotal role for the Sea Chickens in their Super Bowl winning run during the 25 season. And yesterday, he got paid for his efforts. JSN and the Sea Chickens agreed to a 4-year. Hang on, let me just go ahead and whet my whistle because I wouldn't dare want to offend with my poor talk the amount of money this motherfucker's going to get. All right, a 4-year, $168.6 million contract extension with a cool $120 million in guarantees. He will now become the highest paid receiver in NFL history with a $42.15 million average annual value. And do you guys hear that? Do you hear that? If you listen closely, I bet American Boxer can hear it because he's real close. You can hear George Booger Pickens doing backflips of joy as he's now, as a subpar 2 wide receiver, probably going to make more money on an average annual value than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Holy crappers. $42 million on average, and I am such a poor. Jeez Louise, dude. Now, I'm not saying he's not worth it, but Is JSN worth $40 million a year? I mean, I understand that there is inflation, cap, markets adjusting, but dude. Oh, wow. That's a lot of money, guys. $40 million a year. He was obviously a first-round pick in the 2023 draft out of He didn't turn into a full-time starting receiver until 24 when he earned his first Pro Bowl selection. His value on the team grew exponentially in 2025 as he had 119 catches for 1,700 yards and 10 touchdowns, with Sam Darnold slinging him the pill. The receiving yardage total led the NFL. I don't know, man. Do I have too much emphasis on like a certain number threshold? Okay, just If you're going to reset a market at your position, let's say wide receiver, even if you led the league in yardage, I don't know, man. It's hard to argue. It's hard. I have a feeling that running back, wide receiver, you got to hit 2,000 yards. Quarterbacks got to throw for 5,000 yards or 50 touchdowns or both. Defensive ends, 20 sacks. Is this barrier, this insanely high threshold, too much of a? Am I putting too much emphasis on a certain number threshold to say this is a justifiable production number to reset a market at? Yes, 1,700 receiving yards on 120 catches and 10 touchdowns is great. J-Mo can do that on 100 catches and have 3 more touchdowns, 4 more touchdowns. Amon-Ra does that year in and year out. I don't know, man. But you know what, though? I'm sure that when Amon-Ra reset the market this time a couple years ago, people were saying the exact same thing as me. Probably. You know what? And this, what I'm probably failing to realize is just how market inflation actually correlates to the dollar value. Yes, it is. And maybe we're just overemphasizing everything. You know, this is just how it's going to go. You know, someone else will follow suit after JSN. Is Jackson Smith-Njigba right now, being the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL, would you take him over a Justin Jefferson? Amon-Ra, Puka. You know what I'm saying? The market value alone, the dollars alone would say he is better if you're just going off of dollar value. How valuable is he to the team? Well, they won a Super Bowl with him only having 24 yards receiving in the Super Bowl. Obviously, they leaned on K9. Well, K9 ain't there. So, JSN, is it unfair of me to then assume that with this dollar amount being contributed, this percentage of the draft of the salary cap being committed to just you, over 10%, because the cap is 300 some million, you're making 42 million, that's over 10% of the salary cap. Is it going to be worth it to the Seattle Sea Chickens, and will his production and the team's production without K9 there, with him being the high-paid dollar-a-due guy, will it reflect to this dollar amount value? Will he earn and produce up to this much? Because now, at least by my metric, $42 million a year, you need to every single year hit 1,700 receiving yards. Now, that's great if that's a success to win. But if you're trying to argue average value, production, now you're getting into forcing the ball territory. Now you're getting into the potential of kneecapping your production because you're trying to force the value of a contract. And who's to say he's even going to be nearly as productive? Clint Kubiak's gone. Now, Sam Darnold has proven over the last 2 years to be a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. But what's to say, because we do know that ultimately zebras don't change their stripes. Look at Baker Mayfield. What's to say Sam Darnold doesn't go out there next year and, to quote Sam Darnold, start seeing ghosts out there? Then you're stuck with an overpaid wide receiver that you can't get the ball to. Look at Justin Jefferson. Okay. We know by market example, the data of the Cincinnati Bengals, that when you go all in, we're all in on these offensive guys. We're all in on these young guys, right? When you pay all this money to the triplets, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, that when one of those pieces is removed, it all goes kaput. Then you're just stuck holding a very expensive, very shiny bag. I'm I think I'm having sticker shock right now, yo. I think I'm having some sticker shock because I'm such a poor that it's hard to fathom that kind of money, dude. JSN had a big year, and it kind of the economics of the game. I know in 2 seasons we'll talk about someone else's new contract. Yeah, Snake, you're right, dude. You're 100% right, dude. Just passed the 9.9 millionaire tax. Whoops, gonna be harder to convince free agents to come to the Sea Chickens. Hell yeah, Art. Well, that's what happens when you get, dude. That's why people flee communism, dude, because of the tax rate, dude. Facts, exactly, dude. Snake, you crushed it on that one, dude. You are right, and that's why I said we probably someone. If you know, I wasn't because I think he earns it. I think Amon-Ra is the best receiver in the game, pound for pound, with all around production and what the individual does both on the field and the value that they add to the locker room, to the team, and the value to the team on the field. Their presence and mentality alone. I'm sure that people were having the exact same conversation that we're having right now about JSN, about Amon-Ra a couple years back when he reset the market. You know what I'm saying? JSN is more worthy than Browns Watson or Murray, but next offseason they will be resurrecting his contract for cap restructuring. Yeah, you know, Jack, you're 100% right, dude. Is all of these contracts? I need to remember what my own advice. The salary cap is only as real as you want to make it. They can restructure, wheel, and re-deal his contract all they want. Offload refused to pay Wilson, DK, Walker, etc., so they think they know who they want to pay and why. Gotcha. That's exactly it, Mom. They're going to have to throw him the ball every play now. As a Michigan fan, all those wide receivers that OSU was pumping out, JSN was always one that I was most concerned about when the game came around. Right on, Snake. I don't follow college football that well enough, and even when I do, I fucking hate Ohio State, and I am not a U of M fan. I have strategies to help pay less in taxes. Send them to my website. Hell yeah, dude, yeah. Somebody get JSN in contact with Ruben, dude. Yo, guys, let's start a grassroots movement, dude. Get American Boxer to become the independent, the financial advisor for JSN, dude. We'll get you hooked up, dude. We'll get you out there, dude. We need to get a grassroots movement, dude. Get a whole thing so that American Boxer can revolutionize the finance and mentality and future setup for NFL players. Let's go, dude. I love it. So Snake, thank you, dude. Thank you. Sometimes I feel like I kind of have to like defend my position about Amon-Ra, that like pound for pound, he's the best return on investment. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no one wide receiver in the NFL who does all around and means so much to the team, to the fan base, than Amon-Ra does. I really think he's the absolute dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he's the man, dude. I think he's the absolute man. Dude, hell yeah, dude. It would be a sweet gig for him, dude. Ruben, we're trying, bro. We're just, look, we just got to get the NFL looking my way, dude. You know, I was talking about how they need to get online personalities to be broadcasting their shit. Well, you know, I'm right here, so. Not too happy over on Rumble, are we? Rumble ain't too wild about us right now. We got hell more viewers on YouTube today, guys. Rumble just hanging out, dude. Feel free to hang on over there to Rumble. It's a free speech alternative, you guys. And as we get closer to the midterms, we gotta start insulating ourselves because they're gonna be bringing the banhammer if things go the wrong way. So, with JSN's contract, obviously the conversation we're having about Amon-Ra, this article kind of bookends with it. The Lions' wideout contracts are now a steal after you look at them in comparison to JSN, and that's why JMO was the thumbnail guy, you guys. And I thought it was kind of funny, like, you know, Jameson Williams is like a poor beggar. Like, help me, I'm so poor. I don't make any money. Well, look at his contract. I'm a poor, just like all of you, dude. But shout out, dude. Shout out Jameson Williams, guys. Like, legit. He's kind of becoming one of the good guys in the NFL. He's very involved in the community, has a lot of charitable situations going on. And I do think I'd almost plant my flag on this like I plant my flag on Jack Campbell. Last year when I said Jack Campbell was going to be the next coming of Brian Urlacher, I feel almost as confident in this statement that as early as next year, if not within the next 3 years, Jameson Williams, will be the Lions nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. I genuinely think he has come that far in his maturity. And when you look at how he works with the community, interacts with the community, and gives back to the community, I do think that we will get to a point with Jameson Williams where he ends up being the Detroit Lions nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner. I genuinely believe that, dude. I really do. The Lions were able to secure the services of Amon-Ra and J-Mo on relatively affordable deals based on the exploding market at the wide receiver position. This week, the Sea Chickens decided to extend JSN. He's now locked into the NFC West organization through the 2031 season after agreeing to a 4-year, $168.6 million contract. The agreement has an AAV of $42 million per year and futures over $120 million in guaranteed monies. He is guaranteed money to make $120 million. Just 2 years ago, the Lions and St. Brown agreed to a 4-year, $120 million contract, which included a $16.5 million signing bonus and only $77 million in guarantees. How is he supposed to survive on a $30 million contract? $30 million a year. That's all Amon-Ra's making. JSN's making 42. It's because my veins run with Honolulu blue Kool-Aid. I would never be able to take JSN if I was picking wide receivers to build my team around. I would never be able, in my wildest dreams, be able to take a guy like JSN over Amon-Ra. So not only am I getting a better player, but I'm getting a better player for $12 million less a year. Amon-Ra's full contract is the guaranteed value of JSN's, but this is how the league works. This year, the former fourth-round pick will earn a base salary of $27.5 million and a workout bonus of $100,000, while his salary cap hits is $33.1. I'm such a poor that I would be happy with his workout bonus. Yo, I work out 5 days a week. I don't get no workout bonus. Yo, why can't the insurance companies give me, if my healthcare company, why can't they give me an a workout bonus worth $100,000, yo? Damn, dude. J-Mo had a breakout season last year and again is expected to be an integral part of the Lions offense in 26. Brad Holmes and the front office were able to secure a long-term contract with the former first-round pick in September of last year. He earned a 3-year contract worth up to, I mean, at this point, we're talking peanuts at $83 million. Half. Okay, let's go ahead and take this even farther. We all know how good Amon-Ra is. Let me ask you this, chat. If you were sitting there picking and building your team, and you had to pick between your wide receivers, come down to you got to pick, and you got to take on their salary cap too, right? Are you going to take J-Mo at $83 million over 3 years? Or are you going to take JSN at $168 million over 4? Skill set wise, not asked what they're to do in the offense. Skill set wise, assholes to elbows. Convince me that JSN is a better wide receiver than J-Mo. Assholes to elbows. Later, Mr. Figs. Have a good day, brother. Don't party too hard, man. Have a good Tuesday, dude. We'll catch you tomorrow, my man. Hell yeah, dude. Thank you, Mr. American Boxer. Appreciate it, bro. And Jared Goff, that's dope. I wish he'd help in my situation, 100%. Position on our guy is valid. Hell yeah, thank you, dude. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I don't know, man. I would take J-Mo. I don't see the dollars. I think that if you were to take Jameson Williams and 1-to-1 replace him with JSN, and while you're doing it, you're also having them take, so you take JSN and what he does in Seattle, and you take him out, but what he does in Seattle, you put J-Mo in there. And then what J-Mo does in Detroit, you take J-Mo out, but you put JSN in there. I think you're looking at a 1v1 comparison. Am I wrong? Rick, dude. Shout out Rick C over on YouTube. JMO spent the first half of the season with Johnny Mo, not even knowing he existed. 100%, dude. 100%. I don't know, man. Maybe just some food for thought. I think I'd take JMO. I take JMO, dude. I take JMO. You know, I think he's a better. I think if you were to put JMO in Seattle and ask him to do what JSN does, he does it to the same degree, and he does it faster and subsequently then better. You know, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just biased. I'm probably just biased. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Read this last article. Kind of think back to yesterday. Take off your drinking caps for a minute, fellas. Let's put on our thinking caps for a hot second here. Before we read this article, all of you in the chat, go ahead and smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Ring that notification bell so you can be notified every single time we go live, Monday through Friday. There's 24 of you over on YouTube right now. If we could hit 20 likes, that'd be the cat's pajamas, dude. It don't cost nothing. Waymo is just getting better. David Cadleck, my bad, dude. David Cadleck says, yeah, Waymo is just going to get better. And that's what we have seen. The proof is in the pudding with JMO. Every single the first year that JMO had a full off season and training camp to be healthy and involved with Jared Goff, we've seen a 1,000-yard year. We've seen him then duplicate it last year. We just see JMO stacking good years and progressively getting better. That is both a compliment to Jameson Williams in the evolution. That is also a compliment to Jared Goff and more proof of Jared Goff in that once he gets reliability, think of how Jared Goff had almost no production in Detroit until Josh Reynolds was brought in midseason, right? If Jared Goff has familiarity with you, he'll get you the ball. He'll know where to put it for you. He'll understand what to do. And Jameson Williams is the knee injury and the suspension. The development has been retarded compared to what we would expect. However, a little bit of ketchup ain't never going to hurt nobody, dude. He's catching right on up, and he's one of the better. I would say JMO. Would you say that JMO is a top 15 wide receiver in the NFL? Stats, everything in the Lions, not skill set. But, you know, if you take what he can do in the Lions, you say he's a top 15 wide receiver. You put him as a number 1 on a team, we're talking top 5. We're talking 1,600 yards every single year. 15 touchdowns. Easy. You know what I'm saying? I'll take the Sea Chickens O-line. You can have all the weapons in the world, but if your O-line is trash, it's all wasted money. Look at the Dolphins, 100%. What's up, Sleepy Exotics? Hello, Brandy and everyone else. What's going on? Welcome to the Mad Hatter Nation. We are a bastion of sanity in a sea of nonsense, so welcome aboard, dude. JMO is a top 15 now, and in a couple years will be top 8. Sleepy Exotic 1. Welcome home. You're going to fit in nicely here. That is exactly what we like to hear around these parts. I am a JMO fan. I plug your ears, Mr. Detroit City. I am a big old JMO fan. I'm so happy to see the evolution, the maturity, and the development of him, dude. That's what I'm about. Too many drops other than that stat. He's definitely top 15. You know, David, that's fair, dude. That's fair. He does. But you know what? I'm chalking last year's drops up to too many changes, too much hype, too many bright lights, too many sniffing our own farts, and not enough recovery time, right? We had the extended season into the postseason, and then the Lions were playing football. We were playing football. Even though it was preseason Hall of Fame games, we were playing football in July, dude. Then we played all the holiday games, bro. It was a rough drag, dude. And that's why I kind of say this year, I am more hype around this year than I was around last year. Come on, camera. Don't fuck me now. Don't fuck me now, because I'm having a good time. Having a good time. Come on, man. There we go. I think now that there isn't as much hype and hullabaloo around the Lions, we can focus, get back to work. Johnny Mo, I'm the first to tell you guys, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, I was blowing so much smoke up my own ass, and then your guys' ass about Johnny Mo. Never was going to work out. He was a potato. He was a potato. That's why we call him Potato. Very, very, very excited about the coaching direction of the offense with Lil Spud and the mad scientist Mike Kafka. I think that then will lend itself to Dan Campbell being able to give his attention more to Calvin Shepard to help develop Calvin Shepard, which will then have a ripple effect on the defense. I think we'll get better on defense, more hybridized, run more. Getting out of base defense, we're going to be giving more confusing looks to opposing quarterbacks, whether it be a 3-4, whether it be a nickel, whether we're talking heavy sets, speed sets, whether we're talking one linebacker, three linebackers. I think we're going to get out of base defense a little bit more. I do think that DJ Wanham brings a little bit more versatility to the defensive end position opposite Aiden Hutchinson than any defensive end we have had in the Aiden Hutchinson era. Okay, I think Peyton Turner is a viable rotationary piece, though not a one-to-one replacement for Al-Qadim Muhammad. If we go defensive end in the draft, be it in the first round with a guy like Keldrick Falk or in the second round with a guy like Denise Cameron Sutton or Denise Sutton, whatever his name is. There are options to go there in the draft that can lend themselves to rotationary pieces, though I do expect us to see a lot of DJ Wanham. If you look at his snap rate based on what he was doing in Carolina, and then with this article here, we will continue to prove the point that the Lions, as we were talking yesterday, are not very hype about pass rush ability per se, and Dan Campbell has told us, he's been telling us all offseason, we want to get back to what we used to do. So that's why we brought in beefier defensive ends. That's why we brought in a linebacker that can help in the run game. That's why I would expect that if he's not signed by training camp, DJ Reader will have conversations about him coming back, though I do think that is more of a Zadarius Smith conversation than a viable option for us to go, and how quickly AQM silenced everybody about Zadarius Smith when Zadarius Smith retired midseason, and AQM went on to have a career year with 11 sacks and then got himself a nice little bag down in Tampa, although I do think that's a bad investment for Tampa. Defensive tackle, we can go in the draft. We can maybe bring in a couple of bigger bodies. I do like Tyleek Williams. I do like Aleem McNeil being fully healthy, having an off season with the knee being back intact, ready to go. I think we're going to polish up. Jack Campbell is on the ascension. Derek Barnes plays better, though I will never not see him being ran over by famous Jameis Winston when he had his first catch and touchdown ever. I think people are overemphasizing what Alex Anzalone did. I think they are blinded by emotion and not blinded or not looking at the stats and the actual metrics of Alex Anzalone. Wanham is pretty damn cheap when you look at the contract details. He's not likely to reach those bonuses. 100%, and it's just a one-year prove-it deal, dude. He's a rental. It's a Dan Campbell move. D-nice, exactly, dude. Hope they draft Tyreek Sapp. Right on, dude. I don't know anything about him, Sleepy. We have a team-friendly schedule, and I think it will be a good season. And, you know, dude, I have a lot higher expectations this year. So do I, both David and Derek. We do have the benefit of finishing fourth last year, so we have the easiest schedule in the NFC North. That does lend itself to us having a little bit more of a, we'll call it an inflatedly good season, just based on that alone. You can argue the strength schedule all you want. There's only 32 teams in the NFL, and everybody's a pro. I do think, though, that last year there was a little bit more hubbub. There was, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn both leaving. Everybody was kind of high on the Lions. There were expectations. Those expectations have now been alleviated. We are no longer the belle of the ball. Everybody loves somebody else right now. We're not. Now's the time to strike. Your opponent isn't expecting you to hit them hard now. Everybody's looking at the Bears. Everybody's looking at the Packers. Everybody's looking at what the hell's Minnesota doing over there. Oh, Detroit. Oh, they didn't sign it. Oh, you got Cade Mays. You signed Larry Borum. Yeah, he's a depth piece. No, he's your starter. No, he's a depth piece. Lions aren't signing nobody. They're just lurking, dude. They're just lurking out in the deep water, dude. Just slowly biding time, waiting for all you petty little douche nozzles in our own division to fight amongst yourself. Children. Don't you worry, guys. Once the start of the NFL season gets underway, Dan Campbell and Jared Goff and company are going to roll in it. Don't worry, everybody. Daddy's home. We're going to take care of business, win ourselves a Super Bowl. Chemistry wasn't good last year. Agreed, David. And you could see it. That's I think you're a little newer, but I was saying it all year. Something was wrong with Jared Goff. He was tired, and you could see it in Jared Goff's eyes. He was exhausted. Something wasn't right, dude. Amon-Ra was too worried about Amon-Ra St. Brand, not Amon-Ra St. Brown the man. You know what I'm saying? There was just too much. I think we need to refocus. And not for nothing, but like, doesn't this kind of follow a very like Hollywood-esque script, a trilogy? You get your big upstart, make it all the way to the national or to the NFC title game. You had no business being there. Great. You follow that up with being a little bit more hype on you. You overcome adversity with 7,000 players on IR. You end up making it to the 1 seed, back-to-back division champs. You do it with everybody being hurt, with Hawkeye Pierce back there in the secondary because you're a walking mash unit. You end up getting a first-round bye, and you run into a buzzsaw in the divisional round. Now, there is some speculation on my behalf that there was a little bit of collusion, tomfoolery and collusion, Pepe Silva. But so you fall back. You then come back the following year. So episode 2, everybody's all hyped about yes. Nope, you get pounded right in the old keister with reality last year. Chemistry was bad. It ain't going to work that way, dude. So now we've had this offseason. You got to get back. You got to go back to Dagobah. Went back to Dagobah. Found out Yoda died. Well, now's the time for the Jedi to return. Now's the time to strike. If this is a Hollywood script, this would be our third act in the time when the Lions finally take their rightful place atop the NFL and hoist the Lombardi Trophy high amongst the Motor City. My Wi-Fi was down. Damn, Carrie, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. Get some Starlink, dude. Get some Starlink, brother. Get you that Starlink. First kid will do that. It's a gun guy. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, dude, it's because Goff had such a big off season in his personal life that he was just goose, dude. And like you say, having a kid will do that. These people are human. They do have a life outside of football. Something was wrong with Goff, and that something was right in front of him. Yeah, it was having a glass cow standing in front of you, dude. Not a rag now, having a glass cow. So at the point, it's pretty clear what the Lions plan to do, you guys, and that is get better at stopping the run. I just want you to show you guys here. Look at all the money. These are some of the top defensive ends that were signed on contracts this year, and this is their run defense grade. Everybody wanted Jalen Phillips, who got a $120 million deal. Well, he only got a 60 in rush grade defense. Trey Hendrickson, 56 grade, 112 millions. Odafe Owa, he comes in a little bit higher with a 64, $94 million. My guy, Boye Mafe, all right, not gonna scoff at a 67.8. Well, he wanted $60 million. Quiddy Pay, 65.8, not bad, $48 million. Bradley Chubb, old, broken, busted, ain't gonna spend no $43 million on no Bradley Chubb. Draymond Jones, nope. Joseph Asai coming in at the highest rated rush defensive end to sign a big contract in the offseason, scoring only a 70.7 in rush defense and only bagging $34.5 million. Of course, the bottom end here would be Al-Qadim Muhammad with a 59.8 and getting a $6 million deal. None of these guys is really good at stopping the run. It would make sense for the Lions if they were primarily looking for a guy who is only good at rushing the passer. But the fact they let AQM walk after only allowing him to play on 83 run defense snaps in 2025 really shows you that's not what they want. If the Lions are going to pay the amount of money that some of these guys cost, you have to believe they're going to get they're going to want to get out of the player what they feel they need the most. That's why the draft is the place to find that next edge rusher. Because there are some guys who are proficient in both areas. Guy like Auburn's Keldrick Falk. Hurt foot guy, Miami's Akeem Mesidor. Oklahoma's R. Mason Thomas, who we drafted in the second round just yesterday, and I feel very comfortable about that. Missouri's Zion Young, no, get the fuck out of here. And Michigan's Derek Moore. These guys would be perfect fits for the Lions. Got ourselves an ad. And they can get after the quarterback, and then they can set the edge in the run game. You guys know that I am so high on Keldrick Falk, not so high on Akeem Mesidor, hurt foot guy, a.k.a. Fat Braylon Edwards. And Oklahoma's R. Mason Thomas, yesterday we just got kind of high on him. We're going to fade Zion Young, and I don't know much about Derek Moore, but, everybody else seems to be pretty high on him. But I'm not so wild. Look, people like hurt foot guy, Fat Braylon Edwards, Akeem Mesidor. I'm not so wild about Fat Braylon Edwards. I'm not so wild about him. But I'm coming a little bit more around on R. Mason Thomas, guys. So just something to kind of chew on over the night to kind of, hey, why didn't we spend all this money? Why didn't we go after this, guys? Why didn't we? Why didn't we? Because they can't stop the run. And we can't stop the run. And we have to stop the run. Yeah, fundamentals. You gotta walk before we can run. You gotta stop the run before you can run. All right, guys, let's take one last stroll through Mad Hatter Nation. It's called The Hero's Journey. Brent, exactly, dude. Exactly, Brent Supreme. Brent, just so you know, I'm calling you Brent Supreme. It's dark. That's dark humor. It's an inside joke for all of us here at Mad Hatter Nation and a little bit of gallows humor. But yes, Brent Lighton is now Brent Supreme. Best free agent signing this year, IMO, was Christian Eisen. Hell yeah. See, Sleepy? Where have you been? That's what I'm talking. You know ball. You know ball, don't you? You know ball. Because Christian Eisen is a sneaky. It's a Avante Maddox signing, dude. It's sneaky. Sneaky Brad Holmes. Yes, we do knock Brad Holmes for having his big Yakub brain and thinking he's smarter than everybody else. Well, Thomas Harper, Avante Maddox, Christian Eisen. Personally, Sleepy, the biggest free agent signing for us this year is my guy Cade Mays, because Mad Hatter Nation can confirm I have been banging the Cade Mays war drum since the start of the offseason. I've been so high on the Lions signing Cade Mays. In fact, I'm pretty sure that all articles you've seen that were like, Lions linked to Carolina Panthers center Cade Mays, I think that's people who've been watching my content writing articles about, because somehow I have this ability of speaking things and then suddenly there's stories the next day. It's Mad Hatter Nation, guys. How does it feel to be on the cutting edge of the curve, dude? We are way out ahead of everybody, and that's because y'all know this. We got to have bigger than a shoe-sized IQ, greater than room temperature, and that's why all of you are here. I appreciate each and every one of you who bothered to stop by, comment, subscribed, liked this, copied the link down on your clipboard, or shared it around with people that you know. That is absolutely what is up. Make sure that you got that notification bell turned on so that you can be notified tomorrow when we go live at 10 a.m. on Rumble, YouTube, and Kick. You guys follow me on Twitter if you want to have a little bit more of a not just football take on things, a little bit more of a not just football, but a little bit more of the base stuff. You know what I'm saying? Have a good rest of your day, guys. Stay out of trouble. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Until tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll catch you then. Bonga, bonga.